Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio in Woodstock, Georgia. This is Fearless Formula with Sharon Klein.
And happy Fearless Formula Friday here at Business RadioX. I'm your host, Sharon Klein, and we talk about the ups and downs of the business world and offer words of wisdom for business success. And today on the show, we have the director and owner of a video marketing company in Woodstock and Marietta called MesmerEyes Media. Welcome, Jared Adams. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Although you didn't tell me I had to bring wisdom. I'm not sure how that's going to...
Just being a human makes us wise.
It's a high bar to set. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I know you've been on the show previously with Stone Payton. So I appreciate you spending some time with me this afternoon.
Of course.
One of the things that's kind of cool about your company, not only is it down here in downtown Woodstock, but you had just mentioned before the show that you are going to be in Marietta. Tell me about this.
So I started in this business about almost 18 years ago, 2005. And I worked for a small production company for 12 years or so. And back in 2013, we found a really cool building in Marietta. And it used to be a wood shop. It was really kind of a trashed out place, which is why we got a really good deal on it in the day and fixed it up and made it a really cool space. It's 12,500 square feet studio. We can build sets. We do all kinds of stuff. Continued to work for that company until about 2017, and then went the corporate route. Got a nice, cushy corporate job that I was going to retire from, and then 2.5 years later, me and 18 of my friends got laid off on the same day in 2020. Somewhat COVID-related, somewhat new leadership, a combination of things. So me and my business partner decided, if someone's going to tell us our jobs don't exist anymore, how about that? Let's that be us, and let's just go do what we know how to do. So we started MesmerEyes Media, and we do everything content creation, whether it's videos, photography, podcasts, whatever it is, we can figure out a way to do it. And then, like you said, just the way the world works in a weird way. Here, just a little over 2 years after we moved into Woodstock, I was able to buy out the old company because the owner retired, or he's on his way to retirement. So we worked out a deal, and now I'm back to where I started and taking it over.
Life is funny that way.
Yes,
how you can have a plan and then it gets diverted.
Yeah, I've been telling everyone this was my plan since 2005. It just took about 17 turns in the middle that I would have never expected and never thought it was going to actually come to fruition. And here it is. So we'll see what happens.
So what are the services that you provide, just so we can kind of get that
video production, photography, podcast, and anything else content. We do training videos, social media videos. We're pushing really big on the kind of micro content, 30 to 60 second Instagram reels, TikTok reels, all that stuff. Basically, we're just storytellers. I've got a lot of cool equipment to help me tell stories, but if you come to me, and we also, Tim and I, my partner, started a DJ. We've had a DJ company for a long time too. So there's not very much that we can't figure out. There's people call us all the time and say, "Hey, can you help us with this event?" We're about halfway decent event planners too. We were just helping someone plan an event this morning. So we want to help people grow their business. Our core is through video production, but if we can help you in any way, we're going to help you. So that's
you help with their communication needs.
Yeah,
that's what
communications. We tell the story. We help your story get out to the world, to the people that need to see it.
Well, I did see that you were a DJ. So it comes in so handy for your job right now.
It does.
But what is it like to? I mean, you're drawing kind of from all these other aspects of your life that kind of make it perfect for your company, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even voiceover, you were saying.
Yeah, do a little voiceover here and there. It's just one of those things that I never really thought it came naturally, but I never really learned it. It's just, I like to talk to people and I like to help people. And if you put a microphone in front of me, I don't get scared of it. So I can help you tell your story to the masses, whether it's, one-on-one or to one to a couple thousand. We can do it all. And I've always told, probably could have made more money in a lot of other ways, but I've always had fun doing my job. And there's something invaluable to that to me. I have a ton of great stories from what I've been doing. I've been, as a DJ, I've been a part of a ton of people's lives on their wedding days, birthday parties, company parties. In the video world, we do a lot of work for charities and stuff. So I get to do a lot of interviews with, organ donors and people that are really making a difference in the world. So it's it's just there's never really been a night where I couldn't sleep at night knowing what I've done, because it's fun.
That's invaluable, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you feel like you're really plugged into the community because of all of the different media?
Oh yeah, for sure. And Tim's actually taken more of the driver's seat on that over the last year or so. It's funny, we do a lot of stuff in the Woodstock Business Club, Canton Business Club. He's in the B&I group, and I found all those places because I love community stuff, and I started going to them and then kind of passed the torch and let him run with it. He's really, really good with people and groups because he's a DJ too, and it's the same. We're very similar in a lot of ways. I'm a little more behind the scenes, but function well in front of the scenes too. He functions way better out there in the world, and people tend to love him for a while. So it's I kind of I wind him up and let him go to all those things. But I miss it because we've been so busy lately, which is a great thing. But it's taken me a little bit away from the community stuff. But we try to be tied in as much as we can. So.
And now you'll be tied into Marietta potentially.
Absolutely,
that's exciting.
That's the plan. Yeah.
So it's always exciting to see growth, don't you think?
Oh yeah, it's exciting, scary,
affirming that you're in the right business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because everything we've done since the day we got laid off, we weren't ready for. And I tell people that all the time. Like, we decided to start the business. Like, I wasn't ready to start a business. We didn't really have enough capital. We didn't really have enough clients. We should not have started this business, but it worked. And then 6 or 8 months later, we were having a conversation with someone about something totally different, about building a film studio in Canton or something like that. And we were on our way to a meeting with this guy, and Tim drove by this building in Woodstock, and it's like they were like literally putting the for rent sign up in the window, and we were like. And it was a way that he doesn't usually go. Like, it was a weird route that he had to take.
Wow.
So he was like, maybe we should call them. Called them, and we weren't ready to have an office, but it was an insanely good deal. It was a perfect deal, perfect time. Just felt like a sign from whoever you want to believe in. And so we took on the office. We weren't quite ready, but then it worked itself out. It got us really tied into Woodstock and got us a few really good clients and allowed us to get to where we were. And even this most recent thing and buying this business. Buying my old business out, we weren't ready for it. It's way too big for us, but we made it work, and so it's all you talk about, fears and all that stuff. It's a lot of fear and stress, but it's all so far. I'm going to knock on this nice wooden table we got here. It's all working itself out. So,
but that's huge. I mean, that's the theme of the show, Fearless Formula. And I was saying before the show started how important it is for people to understand, or at least be able to identify with someone who's had a fear, but has been able to work around it or come up with tips and tricks, or even just throw caution to the wind and take a chance. I mean, that kind of can be that way. Starting 100%. Your business probably felt that way. Yeah,
that starting a business, and really this most recent acquisition, because we did have to bring on another investor, and it was some things that. I'm a bit of an overthinker when it comes to the which probably is a good thing when it comes to the big life decisions. But we spent weeks going back and forth, like, well, if we do this, we got to do this, this, and this, and if we don't do this, we got to do this, and how are we going to do it? And this, and it was crazy. But at the end of the day, it just felt like the right thing to do. And it's like, if we're gonna be where we want to be in 10 years, we got to do something now. So let's do it. And
it's cool because the relationship that you had with your former boss back in 2013, obviously you were able to keep that relationship, and he came to you.
Yeah. And it was funny because I'd been with him. I moved from South Florida. I went to Florida for like 2 years, went to film school down there. And when he called me the very first time, I was actually going back to waiting tables because a few of the other jobs I was doing wasn't really working out. And he called me and said, I've got a 1-week job. I just need a production assistant, basically. And he said, but there's some small potential of a job that can come after this, but really I just need you for a week. There's some potential you can make it work for something longer, but really just need you for the week. I hung up the phone and I called the restaurant and said, I'm not coming back. I'm going to make this work. And that was 20 years ago, and it worked. And so that was one of my favorite, I guess you could call that a bit of a fearless moment. At the time. I thought it was pretty stupid, but it worked. It worked out, and it worked itself out.
It's cool because you talk about Tim, your partner, and the strengths that he has, and then you have your strengths. How important do you think that is in terms of success? Because I feel like I only have a certain wheelhouse that I'm good with, and so I imagine it's wonderful to have someone around you that can offset. Like if you're an overthinker like I am, I would love someone who's not.
Yeah, it's That's a perfect way to sum up how Tim and I work a lot is, I definitely would not be where I'm at today without Tim. I feel like I probably, had we both gotten laid off that same day, I probably would have just gone out and put my resume out there and got another corporate job. I always said I wanted to do what I'm doing now, but I would have overthought myself into not doing it. So he really pushed me in that way and got me to get out of my own way quite a bit. And even with taking over this business, it was a deal that was almost there, and then it kind of died off. And I was just okay. I was like, look, we're doing okay with what we're doing. It's fine. We're going to make this work. And he pulled a few other strings out of his back pocket somehow and found a way to make it work. And it's like, cool. And here we are. So, and then I also calm him down a lot too, where he's like, let's do these 17 things. It's like, well, let's figure out this one first. But it's a very good, anybody that knows us usually think we're very similar, and we are in a lot of ways, like outwardly in crowds and in networking groups and all that. We're both mostly uninhibited. We try to be fun. We're funny all the time. See, I almost said try to be, but I know we're funny. We're funny. We're funny.
You edited yourself on the
We try
fly.
really hard to be funny all the time. We're just people.
Mm-hmm.
But when behind the scenes, I'm definitely more the overthinker and analytical kind of guy. And I've got more experience in the actual work that we do, the actual video production and script writing and voiceovers and all that stuff. And he's more of the networking, friendly, everything. We're going to make everything work for you kind of guy. So it's definitely been a good partnership.
So you went to the University of Tulsa.
I did.
How did you end up here in Woodstock?
So right when I was graduating, I played hockey in Oklahoma, which I know sounds silly because
I didn't know they knew about hockey.
Yeah, they did. They didn't. When I was a freshman in high school, was the first year hockey even existed in Oklahoma.
Interesting.
And when I graduated, I had a marketing degree, and the Florida Panthers were hiring it was an entry level ticket sales job. But when you're just out of college, you want whatever. And being a hockey player and enthusiast, I thought, well, the NHL that doesn't get better than that. So ripped the Band-Aid off, and my entire family lives in Tulsa. Well, one in Oklahoma City, but everybody lives within like 3 miles of each other. And here I am moving to Florida.
That took a lot of faith.
And it did. And while I was in Florida was the strike year for the NHL, if anybody remembers back then. So my job was to sell tickets to nothing, which was very strange, and mostly people trying to get their money back, and the company wouldn't let us give their money back. It was just a terrible situation all around. So I almost tucked tail and moved back to Oklahoma, but one of the people I knew from University of Tulsa worked for Hilti Tools, and they had a job opening in Florida, which was there, so I took that for a minute. And then while I was down there, I went to film school, and it was just a little 6-month kind of write, shoot, direct, edit your own short film. Fell in love. I was already in love with it because in college, I was the guy that always did the presentations. I'd let all the smart kids do all the smart kid stuff, and then I made it look really nice. And that got me through. And so I always had a passion for it. And then when I found the film school down there, I went through there, and the guy I ended up working for, he called the film school director and said, hey, I need a guy. So they recommended me.
You were the guy.
Yeah, so I ended up, and when I was, the company was based out of West Palm Beach, Florida. I was only working there maybe 2 months. And he called me and he said, hey, me and my wife decided to move to Atlanta because that's where my wife's from. And I was like, oh, great. Now I've quit all the other stuff. I'm going to have to start over. But he brought me up here with him. I literally lived in an RV with my boss for like
no way
for like a week or two.
Sounds like a movie or like a sitcom.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't even remember this stuff until I start talking about it. I was like, oh, this is weird. It's kind of weird. But live with my boss in an RV park in Marietta for probably a week or two. And then he had an old family friend that had a house down on Northside Drive in Atlanta. So I lived with him there for, 3 or 4 months probably before I've, kind of got my feet planted and all that stuff. And yeah, it's weird. I tend to forget about that few really weird 6 months of my life. But it was neat because, like I said, I'd only been working for him for like 2 months. He could have easily said, hey, sorry, I'm out. Me and my wife are out. Good luck to you.
Yeah, who wants to live with their boss or their employee, I should say.
Yeah, it was weird, but it worked out. So here we are.
That's a small environment.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just having like a visual.
Yeah.
Like, how would I do
Yeah.
that small? But still, how interesting your life has been.
Yeah, it really has.
You know,
it really has. And see,
Yeah.
maybe here's what we're going to do. We'll need to write a book about it.
Oh.
And you can do the voiceover.
I would be happy to.
You can read my life story. I like
You
it.
heard it here first. All right. So you've been in the business since 2005. What changes have you seen?
So obviously technology is, that's the business that I'm in, is technology. So when I first started in this world, we made, our biggest product was digital business, CD business cards.
Oh.
So you remember, CDs, obviously.
Yeah, I do.
You could get miniature CDs. I don't know if you ever saw those. They were
Yes.
about, miniature business card-ish size. And we would go do marketing videos and, company videos. They would put them on that CD, put a little label on it, and instead of handing out a business card, you hand out this little CD. And it was so my boss at the time, he was a realtor, and he had just put together one of those as a way to introduce himself. And every time someone got it, they were like, wow, this is really cool. And they didn't listen to anything he said about real estate because they were looking at his cool business card. So he said, well, there's my business.
Interesting.
So that's really how it got started. And then in this world, you meet the right kind of people. And I believe he started relatively small, doing some odd jobs here and there. And we somehow got into the world of country clubs. So we ended up doing kind of a day in the life of a member of a country club videos for probably 15 or 20 different country clubs down there.
Really?
And
That's
they paid
fascinating.
really well. It was fun. So that was kind of our niche for quite a while. But that was back before drones were really around. So we would fly around in helicopters and do all the cool stuff. And once drones kind of became a thing, that business kind of went away. We still did some of the filming, but it got a lot cheaper for them to use people with drones for, $200 a day instead of us with a helicopter for $7,500 a day kind of thing.
Wow.
So that was a big change. We actually started down the path into the real estate. One of our biggest clients was, I believe it was called Syntax Homes. We had a whole strategy mapped out for probably 2 years worth of work, and that was in 2008.
Oh gosh, right at the time.
We had not heard from him for a minute, and we were like, hey, we're supposed to start shooting next month, blah, blah, blah. And he said, finally got a hold of the guy, and he said, yeah, tomorrow's my last day. We're shut down. So we had to completely reinvent.
Have they come back to you?
No, I mean,
housing market
probably,
back then.
yeah, that was, but we had kind of moved on to other things, and that was 2008. So that was shortly after we had moved here, and just started getting a few more like short films and doing some stuff for film school students and things like that. And really, but the biggest change, honestly, is technology, because I re-inherited a few cameras that we used to use, and when we bought this camera, it was the best. It's what they filmed The Hobbit with, all that kind of stuff. It was just the camera, nothing else. Was $50,000. I might be able to get $5,000 for it today. Like, it's just not. It's still an amazing piece of gear. It's an amazing camera, all that stuff. But what I can shoot in my iPhone right here, for the most part, for what we do in the business world, you can't tell it apart. I can, because I know how it works. I know what it all looks like. But if you're, let's just say, Alma Coffee. I'm looking at the Alma Coffee side. If you're Alma Coffee and you need someone to come do a commercial for you, the gear that is used is not near as important as the story you tell. So, but back in the day, our marketing spin was always, hey, we're using the highest end gear. It's going to look the best it can look. People cared about that more. Now you see so many selfie videos and so many, and the phones just, and again, the bigger iPhones are $1,500 phones, so they should be pretty good. But you can shoot. I can shoot an entire commercial on a phone, and it'll look awesome. So that's the biggest change, is technology. And we still use better gear than that, just because there's lots of reasons to do it on our end too. But realistically, when people are watching it, they don't know if you shot it on a phone or a Red or a whatever you name your high priced camera. It's just not necessary. So.
Well, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Jared Adams of MesmerEyes Media.
Hello.
Do you find Do you find that you are more apt to bring your phone and just use that for different kinds of interviews?
I do, and I don't. I try really hard not to. Mostly just because we're not cheap. We're not the cheap guys. We're definitely far from the most expensive guys out there, but we're not cheap. So I never want my clients to feel like I cheaped out on them.
I thought you were just using your personal phone and just
oh, cool, I showed up with nothing. Here's my phone. So I want to make sure my clients are getting what they need. But at the same time, there has been. I was just doing a job last weekend where we were doing interviews with my nice camera set up, and I needed to go catch something real fast because it was happening, and I didn't have time to reset up and change all the configuration, but I pulled my phone out and I got some amazing footage because, you know, and you still have to, I know the right angles to use and I know the techniques and all that, but it's amazing to have that in my pocket, which is great. So yeah, but I would never show up with just my phone, but I also have some gear that makes your phone even better. You know, there's certain apps you can use, and I've got some, camera gimbals and, very specific film gear to put your phone into that turns into a better camera. But yeah, I have used it plenty.
I used to produce some stories for CNN, and I have like a DSLR camera, but the lenses were everything.
Oh yeah, I tell people all the time, if you have whatever your budget is, spend most of it on the lens. Because if you have a $50,000 camera and a $200 lens, you have a $200 image. If you have a $200 camera and a $2,500 lens, you probably got a $2,500 image. It's they all play well together, but yeah, the lenses. We used to run a little film school for a little bit, and we had a student come in. He said, "I've got $100,000 to make a movie. I'm going to go buy a Red, which is the camera. You're going to spend half of your entire budget on just the camera. Then you're not leaving any room for lenses, audio, all that other stuff. And the lenses are more important. The lenses I shoot with right now, I think each lens is close to $4,000 or $5,000 just for the one lens, which is crazy and silly to even say that out loud. But
when you look at the difference,
oh yeah,
it's amazing.
And I can put that lens on every camera I have, ranging from a $1,500 camera to a $40,000 camera, and it looks pretty darn close to the same because you're using the nice lens. So
very interesting.
Yeah.
So how important do you find video content these days? Like obviously we've got TikTok, we've got all the different social medias, right?
Yeah. I'm obviously biased because I want everyone to have video for everything that they do, but it really is. I mean, we're a video driven world. It just, in audio, obviously now with podcasts and what we're doing right here, radio, we're just a content consuming society. I mean, I hate it because I always get onto my daughters and I'm like, hey, get off your phone. And as I'm on my phone, it's like we're all addicted to them. So the video is insanely important. I've always used to say having a bad video is worse than having no video, but I'm not sure that's even true anymore. You got to have some kind of video content. And I'm not even that great at our own stuff because we're so busy with our clients. I haven't posted near enough of our own videos, but everybody, you're not going to get, even if it's just to validate. That's the biggest thing. Like if you catch someone somewhere and they say, oh, they seem pretty cool, I'm going to do business with them. Let me go check out their Instagram. Let me go check out their Facebook. They're going to go to your website or your socials to see if you're even doing anything, and then it helps you build a relationship without even knowing someone. If I've done it. I've been victim to plenty of Facebook targeting, and where I see someone 10, 15, 20 times and they seem like an expert, I'm like, all right, and if I have that need, my brain immediately goes to that person, so I'm going to seek them back out. Mm-hmm. That's what we're pushing. I don't want to be salesy, but we do have a micro content stuff, which is the TikTok reels and all that, and we tell all of our clients, don't do a sales pitch. You're not pitching, you're helping people. You're adding value to someone's lives. That's what's going to make them stop and watch. That's the Alex Hormozy, all those guys. All those big guys. They're just adding value to your life, not, hey, come buy my stuff, come buy my stuff. It's like, hey, have you thought about this? Do this. And if you need help, call me.
Who's your ideal client? Everyone.
No, honestly, companies that understand that video is an investment and it should be part of their marketing. Your solopreneurs that are struggling to even stay afloat every day, I want to help them in the worst way. And we've got a few smaller business kind of packages that I want to really help, but realistically we're not the right fit because, again, it's not cheap, not expensive, but not cheap. I would hate to have someone invest in what we do, and it's usually what we do, especially on that level, it's more of a long game. So it's something that's going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 months to really see any benefit from. And if someone's hanging on by a string, they're going to get mad at you and blah, blah, blah. So Realistically, an ideal client for us is the small to medium businesses. But we do work for Fortune 500 companies too. Just got off a really good call, and we're doing a project with Home Depot. I'll be at Hitachi on Monday. We're doing some big big name stuff too, but so somewhere in the middle, you know, I want to help people tell their story, but I don't want to make anybody mad because they spent too much money with me. You know, I've turned plenty of people down where they say, we really want to do it, and I think we can come up with this. I'm like, and I don't want you to come up with it. If you're having to really pull it together, you know, when I throw out a number like $3,000 or $4,000 a month for a while, if your head explodes, even if you can come up with it, I don't want you to spend it with me, because it's never going to be a good relationship. It's the people that understand marketing is a big deal. And, you know, there's so much data out there in the world that says that it's the right thing to do. But because even us, we're a small business, and someone came to me and said, you owe me $5,000 a month. I'm like, you know, right this very second, that might be a little tricky. So I know, I understand it. And so in the growth part, we're really more the established or people that have some good capital in the beginning. So,
what form of advertising do you feel like is just dying, is not necessary at all to invest in?
I have some friends in the space, so I hate to even say it. For me personally, I don't feel like print magazines are the way to go. Now, I know there's some industries where it still works. Obviously, the magazines and all that, they're all still around. So it has to be working for somebody.
Especially like local ones.
Yeah, it has to be working for somebody. I personally, that I can remember in my entire life, have never read anything in a magazine and then called that person. It's not, and I get part of it's branding. You know, maybe I've done it and just subliminally didn't realize it. But, but the caveat of that also, if I was running a print advertising company, I would also offer some social media stuff. Hey, get in our magazine and we'll also post on social. That's probably a thing that could be advantageous. But realistically, if it works, I'm not going to, if it's working for you, it's working for you. Obviously I speak video better than anything. So I want everyone to go to video, but you know, even if it's as simple as getting a sign spinner out, you know, if it's bringing people in, just do it. That's I try really hard not to shut anything down overall. You know, I know what works for me and my company, and what I think will work for most of my clients. But if you want to, you know, throw something at the wall, if it sticks, it sticks. I'm, you know, more power to you.
Well, that's good to know, because a lot of businesses that we have a lot of, you know, small businesses here in Woodstock who may not think that it's that vital to invest in something as sophisticated sounding as like a real video. Yeah. But, and
we do, like I said, we do a lot of weird stuff like events and all that stuff too. And there's plenty of times where we actually have a little networking event that we put on, a little cigar and bourbon night.
I've been to it.
And I thought you had. And, you know, we had a few sponsors the last couple of times, and you know that is technically advertising. And it was best I can tell. You know, they keep clamoring to come back, so I'm like, you know, it got them in front of a group that they wouldn't have been in front of. You know, there's I'm sure plenty of your listeners, I'm not sure if you do, but like Grant Cardone, the whole 10X thing. You know, I went to his growth conference I think last year, and one of the main guys that was talking about getting on other people's stages. So, whatever that means, you know, someone stages that magazine, someone stages our little cigar and bourbon night, or this right here. It's one of them. You know, I was probably, you know, I have plenty of stuff I should be doing back in my office, but I was like, no, that's another stage I can be on. I need to be on it. You know, whether if one person hears something and thinks it's cool, if nobody does, if 100 people hear it and think it's cool, it's another time to talk and just get out there and be on someone else's stage. You know,
you're cool, Jared. I have a quick question about some surprises that you've kind of learned along the way or experienced along the way, because you kind of, like you said, you weren't ready to get into this industry. So what are some surprises that you encountered?
So just honestly, the day-to-day stuff, you know, because obviously I was worked for this other guy, and there's plenty of times where I was like, wow, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing this? We should do this. If we do this, it'll work. And now that I own it, I get it a lot more. There's a lot of things where I'm like, oh yeah, it would be great to go do that, but that's a couple $1,000s. And where's that coming from? That's going to come out of my pocket now. That's different. That and
it's a financial pressure.
Yeah, financial pressure, the amount that you can get done in a day, and the, you know, amount of stuff that's on your brain constantly. You know, I will never complain about what I do, because I absolutely love what I do, and I love that I'm doing it, as stressful as it is. But my brain doesn't turn off, which is probably good, probably bad. I don't know, but it's a little surprising in that even when I'm doing something like watching Yellowstone for 3 hours,
I've been wanting to catch up on that one.
We've been binging it. We're just finished season 2, but
okay.
Even when you're doing that, like somewhere in my brain is going on, oh, did I email that person back? Did I do that? I forgot I was supposed to call someone today. And, when you're in a big giant corporation, not that big a deal because the wheel keeps turning. But, if I miss a phone call, I might miss out on half a year's worth of revenue, if I don't respond to an email right. So it's just we
talk about that too here with the guests on Fearless Formula. How do you balance it? How do you make your time at home and family time priority when you are the owner? And you don't want to miss the $50,000 call that could be coming.
So I think how is an interesting question because I don't know that you could ever truly tell someone else how to do that. I personally probably don't realistically.
I like the honesty though. That's what this is all about.
I try really hard to, like if I'm at home with my kids or even if it's just me and my wife, I try really hard to keep my phone off. Or at least on silent, where if I'm going to check it, I know I'm in the right headspace to check it.
Smart.
But there's plenty of times, especially we are still new. I mean, we're 3 years, not even 3 years old as a company, as this business. So, they always say that kind of 3 years is that threshold of whether or not it's a real thing or not. I feel like I've kind of passed that point where
you're growing.
It's as real as it's going to be. I've signed a few pieces of paper that say I got to go at least another 5. So, but I am still a little bit tied to it where, and occasionally in our world, not very often since we do more corporate stuff, but plenty of times people call me or email me at 7, 8 at night. And, I try really hard to say, okay, if I answer this email tomorrow morning,
will it make a difference?
Is it going to make a difference? Yeah. And, because there's also part of that where if you're always on, it could reek of a desperation a little bit. And they say, and I don't know, it depends on who the client is and all that, but
that's a very good point.
Yeah, because if every time, actually I had this come up last week, if every time someone calls you and you're ready, well, does that mean you're not doing anything else for anybody else? And then they could think, they could turn, if they're a client that needs to come back, they can say, well, you're obviously not that busy, give me a discount, because you're going to keep my business. So me and Tim had that conversation last week about a client. We had someone.
So psychological.
We had kind of been working with him. We had a bit of a plan to do something on Wednesday, but we had a conversation and we pushed it because of weather. So we made some other plans. And then we got a message that morning that said, hey, we're shooting this afternoon. And I'm like, I probably could make it work, but then I got to push other stuff off. And, who am I going to make mad today? But, we can't always be at your beck and call. Now there's probably a price point where we can be, but for most of our clients, it's like, it can't be that desperate. And realistically in the world that we're in, I try to really put it in perspective. Like, it's been a long time now, but I remember even back when I was doing some similar stuff, the girl I was dating a long time ago, she was a nurse. And even my ex-wife was a nurse. And it's like, hey, what'd you do at work today? Oh, I've made some pretty pictures for this company. What'd you do at work today? Oh, I saved 3 people's lives. It's like, okay.
You're not curing cancer while you're doing
the picture that this company really wants to have done for this billboard, it can wait for tomorrow. It's not no one's getting fired or you're getting sick or hurt or anything like that for anything that I can ever do.
But clients don't like to hear that sometimes.
Correct. They don't. They always want to be top priority. Yes. But I think if you, it's one thing we're working toward. Also, is setting a little more realistic boundaries with our clients in the beginning. Hey, we love you guys. You're definitely our clients, but there is a procedure here. If you want something done, it's got to be done a certain way for all the right reasons, not just because we're lazy and don't want to do it, but we want to make it. And we try to be there all the time. We've bailed a ton of people out of a bunch of problems like that where they say, hey, can we shoot this afternoon? It's like, you're lucky enough. Yes, we can. Mm-hmm. But at some point you gotta,
it's like setting a tone.
Yeah.
And an expectation.
Yeah. And again, you don't want to seem desperate. Like, well, every time I call him, he's doing nothing and waiting on me. It's like, is he doing anything else? I can probably get him cheaper, so I want to try to be cognizant of some of that stuff.
Would you say that you've had a sort of a hard lesson that you learned through a mistake? Because, fearing making a mistake stops people from doing a lot of things, including myself. Yeah.
So in this, I'm going to give you real numbers, but in this acquisition of this business, we made the mistake of spending some money that wasn't officially in yet that we thought was coming. It was a project that was going to shoot in November. And it was everything you had to do. It was a deal. Everything anybody said, it was a deal that was happening. So we went and in the initial investment that we had done in our when we first started the company, we had racked up a little bit of, kind of bad debt, credit card debt and stuff like that. So we were like, cool, this is perfect. We got a little cash flow. We're set. Let's go ahead and pay off all this debt because we're going to catch up next month, blah, blah, blah. And then, a week or two before we're supposed to shoot, I get an email that, the project's not going to happen. So now we're back into some of that credit card stuff, blah, blah, blah. And we're ahead of it now again. So it all worked out. But that was a massive kind of freak out moment to get that email. And the lesson is, it's a stupid, simple lesson.
No, it's an important lesson.
Everyone should know this lesson. Don't spend money you don't have. That was, it's like, you don't do anything unless the money's already in the bank or at least the contract signed, things like that. And this particular client, they don't really do contracts and they're much bigger than us. So we are okay with that. But we've learned to not count your chickens before they're hatched, if you will. Do
you feel like you have to be an advocate for yourself with the bigger companies that way then? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I would defer. I think, well, they know what they're doing and it's their deal.
It's funny, I just said this a week or two ago. I always feel like those bigger companies, because they're bigger companies, they've got their stuff together. They know what they're doing. It's not the case. It's just not because having the 2 or 3 year run I had at the corporate job, no one knew what they were doing half the time, and we were making it up as we went, just like we are. They just happen to have more money in the bank because they're $1 billion company or whatever. But like we do a lot of like training videos and stuff, and I'm always of the mind where surely they have a system in place. They just need us to come help, and we'll get into it. And they're like, they've never done any training. They have no idea how to train anyone. Wow. They need us more than we think they do, or more than I even thought they did.
Yeah.
There was something else, just something that literally just happened like 2 weeks ago that I came back and I was like, how do they not have that? Like, how is that not a thing in this multi-billion dollar company? Like, how do they not have this simple process in place? I can't wrap my brain around what it was, but yeah, so I do think about that a lot, and it's like, okay, we're all just out here winging it. Just unfortunately now if we do something wrong on our company, I'm the one that's really fighting it. But my wife's company she works for an apartment complex, and they're a really big family-owned business, if you will. So there's a lot of things that they do that sometimes she'll tell me about, and I'm like, you don't have a process in place for that? Like, how could you not? That's business 101. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you guys have been in business for 70 years, but it's never came up. And I'm like, cool. So it's not just us. It's not just us small guys that struggle with that stuff.
Well, no, I think I fake it till I make it. I pretend I know what I'm doing, or I pretend that I'm someone who knows, not myself. I'm like a totally different person. Yeah. But there's something about it that kind of makes me feel like if I make it look like I know what I'm doing, well, then maybe I sort of do a little bit. Right. I don't know. Yeah, but that pressure.
We ran into that a lot, especially with having the office in Woodstock, and I can't tell you how many times people would say, man, like we're just trying to get to your level. Uh-huh. And I'm like, yeah, man, if you had any idea, trust me, you're there. I promise you.
Did you say that to them?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah. A few of them. The guys that were in our same space, they were like, man, I'm just really trying to get to where you are. And I was like, trust me, you're already there. You just, you haven't made, but to your point, that probably means we do know what we're doing as far from a branding standpoint. And I tell people that all the time. I tell prospective clients, like, y'all found us because you think we're the big guys, and we can do that for your company too. What we have done for us to make you think we're big, it's what we do. It's branding, it's marketing, and stuff like that. So
you kind of advertise for yourself because of how well you're doing.
Like, how did you find us?
Yeah. Well, that's what we
trust that I'll make other people find you. That's
kind of perfect.
Yeah, it kind of works out. So.
Everybody wins.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Jared, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I don't know. I feel like
40 minutes already flew by. I didn't realize what time it was.
Is it 40? Oh, yeah. Well, look at that. See, that's what happens in this studio. We get chit-chatting, and it's really fun. I mean, I've had the best time doing the show. And
it's so much fun.
Yeah, getting to know people. And also, I really appreciate your words of wisdom for people.
Thank you.
As a parting word of wisdom, what would you recommend for anyone who's interested in getting into your industry? Do you have some kind of tips and tricks that you could kind of give someone?
Use the internet. If you're just starting out, and I feel I got to be careful because I have a college degree and I loved my entire college experience. These days, I feel like college is too expensive. I'm sure that's a whole nother political thing to talk about later. But there's a ton of resources to help get into this world, and you just got to do it. I mean, you know, I've had a kind of young kid that was working for me, and he was all he wants to do is this. And he's like, I got to go to school and do all these other crazy classes. And I'm like, I found a really nice website, and here's how you can learn everything about this business. Takes a little bit of money, but a lot less than college, and you can get into it and start making money right now. And I feel like it's going that way. Some just, you know, obviously I'm not that old, but my generation is different. You know, my kids right now, they're on their phones all the time. They know how to do stuff that, you know, now all the apps do it in 10 seconds that it took me, you know, 3 days to do before. So just, you know, you don't want to be completely stuck to your phone all the time, but you know, when you're TikToking and Snapchatting and all that stuff, like, realize people will pay you for that. You know, don't just do it, learn how to do it and monetize your skills.
The future's bright.
It is. But at the same time, you can't rely on technology only. You still have to build relationships, and you know, and really that's all marketing is getting people to like something. So not only work on the technical skills, but work on the personal skills. Because I would not be anywhere near where I'm at today. Not that I've made it by any means, but we're doing pretty darn good. And it's mostly because we're just good people. You know, we know how to tell a pretty good story, but it's just people can trust us because when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that would be my advice. That was a weird long answer to what should have been a short answer question, but
no.
be a good person and learn your stuff. There you go.
Those are really good.
My wisdom is my wisdom
that's
is
your fearless
notes.
formula.
Yeah.
That's your fearless formula.
Yeah.
Be a good person.
Yeah, be good people, learn good stuff.
Well, thank you all for listening to Fearless Formula on Business Radio X. And again, this is Sharon Klein reminding you that with knowledge and understanding, we can all have our own fearless formula. Have a great day.